On the cover, Darren does some light gardening outside a 2-story brick house. Beside her, a small boy with an excited look on his face holds a lizard out for her inspection. On the steps, a teenage girl feigns disinterest but is surreptitiously filming the exchange on her cell phone. In front of the house, a metal T-Rex sits atop the mailbox holding a sign that proudly reads, Dakota Household. In the distance, we can just make out the shape of a drive-in theater, the screen filled with the title card for Day of the Triffids. Issue 22, Babysat. Okay, and this is issue 22, if I do my math right. This is the first of our Apex City one-shots. So in the aftermath of episode 21, a lot of stuff happened kind of all at once. And so we're just going to split the team up for a little bit and try and resolve some of those things.
Individual growth is important.
Individual growth is important. And speaking of growth, welcome to Darren.
Hello.
So where we left you off, you had kind of been held hostage by William's dad a little bit. And the panels we get of this one are just kind of direct aftermath as everyone just sort of shuffles out of the mall, sans William, who is gone now.
Yeah.
Maybe forever. Who knows? We'll get there. And I want to get to kind of that evening. Where does Darren go? What does Darren do?
I think that Darren, that's me.
Good start.
Good start. In the immediate aftermath of the exchange of William with his father and seeing him vanish away and being very helpless to have changed. In fact, being a cause for a lot of, not cause, focus. Focus for that event would make Darren feel useless. And especially in light of what was happening with Evergreen and my people, which was also a moment of failure for me, I think I would be not catatonic, but more reclusive. I think I would have closed myself up, maybe even literally closed myself up, and tried to hide away in my basement.
Okay. So I think that's a good place to start in. So we have Darren hanging out in your basement, and since it has been a minute, what does your basement look like at this point?
Okay, so my basement is actually a containment unit, but I don't know that to prevent me from causing harm to myself or other people, as like if I ever went in a bad way. And because my plan is a people of hard to predict moral standards, and it has. So I've watched a lot of like movies and television, you know, to try and get a gauge of how humanity like exchanges like ideas and thoughts. So my walls are covered still with the cookbook pictures, like a whole bunch of like, as I would see like in movies with the teenagers would have like band posters up on their wall, but I didn't recognize that those were like people, not just like just fun like images. So there's like cookbook photos, and there's like auto book manuals, there's auto tuning mechanic materials on the wall, and I'm very like proud of my decorating skills. There's big a television. Yeah, and I have like a little garden of moss where I grow some moss. Yeah, I would say it's messy.
Okay.
Probably very sticky because I do secretions. I secrete secretions, and I think my bed would be kind of sticky, and I don't really have like blankets or anything. I think I would just I think I would plant myself literally at night and go to sleep.
Excuse me. When and this is to go back to Simone Park. When you had your little flashback, you grabbed a little bag of seeds out of your ship. And I kind of want to maybe look in on those seedlings. Did you ever plant them?
Yeah, I think I would have them with the moss.
Okay. And what kind of plants are they?
They're a plant that is native to my planet, a dormant plant that has not reacted yet. And since planting it. And I've lived here for almost a year, I think. I planted it when I first arrived. I think this is a plant that is one that is extremely valuable. Everyone on my planet would have some in reserve. I like to imagine it as possibly seeds that react to my biochemistry.
Okay.
Maybe they're the seeds that help me heal after injury.
Nice. So they have functions.
Yes.
Which I definitely like that all of the like, for lack of a better word, technology is like grown.
Yeah.
Okay. So plants that might help you heal, any other functions that these would have?
Maybe. I'm open to other ideas.
I think we can definitely work with that.
Yeah.
So as you're down here, I think one of these is probably some sort of a communications court sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Would make sense as part of like a emergency kit, right?
Yes.
And what does it sound like when that goes off? Is it very loud, or does it like bloom in colors, or what does it look like?
Yeah, I think it would have an exothermic heat to it, so it'd be strangely warm.
Okay.
To the touch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be pulsing as well as it began to bloom. Almost flesh-like. And I don't think it would glow, but it would definitely have heat to it.
Darren's been kind of, having a moment down in your basement. Mm-hmm. And this communication plant starts going off. Mm-hmm. Which has not done so far yet. Mm-hmm. What do you do? I
think I would be surprised. Mm-hmm. And I think I would have a glimmer of fear in my eyes.
All four of them?
All four of them, and occasionally 6. All four of them have a bit of fear. I think I would maybe flinch at the sound of it, and then would carefully go over and, like, touch the plant, which has roots that, like, come around my fingers and hold it down to the plant.
And I think that this is, rather than being like a projection, just like panels that we get inside your head, I think it kind of connects you into this sort of thing.
Yeah.
You see 3 figures that you are relatively familiar with. And I think we get a brief series, not to flashback inside a flashback, but we get some brief images of these people. Mm-hmm. So when Darren fled from her home planet, she was part of a group. And we see those images, those like panels. It's like the Superman leaving Krypton kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we see the people around you in those groups are these 3 people.
Yeah.
And they're all in various stages of either shock or like trying to grab you to stop you. Obviously they didn't. But we come back in, and it's not so much directly language as it is just like ideas that kind of get passed back and forth. And the idea here is, we found you. What do you do?
I think I would send images of not hiding.
Okay.
Never hiding.
And I think the answer that comes back is, good, we're closer than you think. And then you hear a knock at your door upstairs.
Oh, shit! Oh, no!
And the connection cuts off. And while you're downstairs having a little bit of a panic moment, you can hear upstairs Todd and Cooper running to answer the door.
No! No! Okay.
What do you do?
Rip my hand, like the roots kind of like get ripped off, and I phase and shoot through the floor of the basement up in front of the door, in front of Todd and Cooper.
Sure.
And like put my arms up across the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think Officer Darren kind of like walks in from the kitchen. Everything okay?
No.
He kind of looks out. And he's like, he reaches past you to kind of like open the door. Mm-hmm. And you hear from the other side, is this a bad time? It's a very familiar voice. It's Tony Rex Dakota.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay. Oh, sweet Jesus. Oh my God, Jeremy. Okay.
So what do you do?
I would my skin would be rippling like a cuttlefish. Mm-hmm. Texture of different waves of black and yellow and pink and blue of relief and fear and somewhat joy, but also like confusion. And I would turn around and face the door with confused expression in my 4 eyes, and looking behind me with shock.
So Tony is standing there on your doorstep wearing more or less normal people clothing. He's wearing like jeans and like a polo shirt.
Okay.
He's got his cowboy hat on. And he is, as always, wearing flip-flops because you never know when you're going to get dino feet. And he's holding a little card and like a little bouquet of flowers, and he's like, "Is this a really bad time? I was hoping to talk to you, actually." And he kind of motions towards Darren. You, not officer.
That's a good distinction to make.
Yes.
I would look at Officer Darren for a direction of what is happening. What's happening? He
weirdly enough does not look surprised at this. He's like, "Yeah, Tony, come on in."
Okay.
And so Tony enters the house.
Okay.
Okay, big favor to ask of you, Darren. My wife has this thing in space. It's some sort of, I don't know, like a birthday, if I understand correctly. It's gonna take us about a week, though. And normally I would ask Buzz to watch the kids, but he's on this migration thing right now. And I know that you watch Officer Darren's kids, and so he suggested that maybe I could ask you if you'd want to babysit for me for like a week.
Oh, you're asking me to watch your seedlings?
Yeah. Yeah, you can call them that.
Oh, I would be happy to watch them sprout.
Well, there won't be a whole lot of sprouting going on, but, why don't you come by the house tonight? I'll introduce you, show you where everything is. We're actually leaving tomorrow. This is kind of a short notice sort of thing. So if that's okay with you, we'll see you this evening?
Yes. Yes.
And he hands the card and the flowers over to Officer Darren. Pass those along to Meredith for me. Tell her happy birthday. And he, turns and lets himself out of the house.
It's Meredith's seating day?
Yeah?
What? Wait, we haven't planted anything to celebrate. Where's the mulch?
That's not really how we do things here. We have her a cake. It's fine.
You sacrifice flowers on your seating day?
I mean flower, not flowers. Oh, these! And he holds up the little bouquet of flowers. I mean, it can be, yeah. We give them to each other. It's like a token of affection sort of thing.
Gross.
I want to sort of flash from... I think that's a good point to cut that scene and head over to Tony Rex's house that evening.
Okay.
So, right quick, what is Darren wearing/preparing? Any beyond the normal preparations, like going to meet someone's kids?
Mm-hmm. I would be wearing my most officialist of extra large police outfit uniform.
Okay.
Buckled up and around my waist to keep the pants up because they're a bit too big.
Perfect.
But I've watched over Todd and Cooper.
Yes.
I am practiced in the traditions and expectations of 8 to 6-year-olds.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I think I would come prepared for that age group.
Perfect. So first off, let's talk about Tony Rex's house right quick. Mm-hmm. So Tony owns a drive-in theater. The house is actually not far from that.
Okay.
So it's kind of out towards the outskirts because you don't want a bunch of city noise and city lights at your drive-in.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a trip. It's kind of out in the middle of, in the middle of nowhere as much as you can get in Apex City. But there's a lot of room around it is what I'm trying to say. It's a 2-story brick home. Let's go with that.
Mm-hmm. Very rural country home.
Yeah, very rural country home. There's a little mailbox out front that has a metal T-Rex on top of it, and it's Dakota household. As you come to the driveway, I think Officer Darren is probably going to let you out here and just drive you over.
Yeah.
And as you come up, Tony is actually out in the front yard. Looks like doing some gardening. Mm-hmm. Barefoot, probably just like little khaki shorts and a little A-frame shirt on. He kind of waves over at you. Nice you could make it. Cole setting up dinner inside. I understand that you are a... what? It's not... I guess vegetarian isn't quite the word for it, but you mostly eat plant matter? Is that right?
Only decaying plant matter for them.
Already dead plant matter.
Mm-hmm. They'd be rude otherwise.
Okay. I think it's already dead. I would hope so. I don't think we don't tend to eat alive things in this house. So, yeah, cool. Head on in. I'll be in just a minute.
Okay.
The door is open.
Okay.
And inside you can see a fairly nice, surprisingly normal-looking setup. There's like a living room with a couch and, big, television screen there.
Okay.
Past that is a kitchen, and you can see a younger boy, probably like 8 to 9, so like Todd and Cooper age. And a girl that we would say probably like 14, 15-ish. And then there is what looks to be a vaguely female-shaped cooking dinner. It's like if, if you watch old movies, have you watched any old Fred Astaire movies?
Yes, I love them.
It's like if Ginger Rogers was made out of mercury.
Ooh, okay.
And she definitely does not hold one coherent shape as she's moving around. She just kind of like slurps in different directions. But that's what you see in there. What do you do?
I think I would first greet the seedling, the smallest child.
So he runs up and he sees you and he looks back and he goes, "Mom, we have company!" And she turns around. "Hello. I am Collective Synthetic Organism. Pleasure to meet you." And she holds out a hand.
I would take her hand and say hello. It's
slightly moist and it moves in a way that doesn't really... there's obviously no solidity to it. But, it's close. You can call me Cole. And you are...
I am Darren.
Wonderful. I understand that you only eat vegetative matter after its point of decay.
Yes.
Wonderful. How do you feel about sweet potatoes?
I love them rotten.
Wonderful. I'll head to the compost. And she heads out into the backyard. In the meantime, Allie, Ty, be good. And she heads out. So let's talk about the kids right quick.
Okay.
Now that you're in the kitchen, Ty is like I said, 8 to 9-year-old boy. He's got a little bit of a mohawk going on.
Radical.
Right? He's in that radical phase.
Yeah, radical.
Allie is 14, 15, definitely too cool to be here. Ripped jeans, very much into like the spiky like wristbands and the choker kind of collar sort of thing. Very heavy eye makeup. Doesn't look great.
Like My Chemical Romance time period.
Yeah, that kind of thing looking on there. Yeah.
That Gerard Way kind of way.
Yeah, she's in that kind of age group. Ty is immediately all up in. Where are you from? I hear you're from space. Are you from space? Our mom's from space.
I am from a planet larger than yours.
Can you show us?
I think I can graph it, and so my fingers will extend, and the plants will weave a small, tiny little circle of where in the solar system it might be. It's up in that region of the sky, and plot it a little bit.
He looks at it and goes, "Wow, that's cool."
It's fine.
Allie at that point finishes washing a dish and just puts that back in there, and Tony heads in from outside. So, kids giving you any trouble yet?
It's been uneventful. Our greetings have been successful.
Cool. Dinner that evening goes fairly well. You do find out a little more about what this thing is actually that they're going to, because Tony tries to explain it and does it very badly. He says it's some sort of birthday thing. My people create their next generations. Our progenitor, which can be tracked back 4 billion of your years to the birth of a small star, is creating its second generation progenitor. It will, in your words, give birth to itself.
Oh. It's not too unsimilar from my people. Many of us start as spores.
Yes, I understand that you are plant-based.
I think that's how they would best describe it on this planet, yes.
And it's weird to have a conversation with someone that is very different but also kind of similar. She's actually very interested in the life cycle of your people. The next morning, they're getting ready to leave. Tony kind of stops. He's like, "Look, I'm sure you've done this before. I'm sure you're more than capable of watching out, for kids for a week. Allie's very independent anyway. Mostly you're just here to keep an eye on Ty." And Allie kind of scoffs and blows a hair up. He's like, "I could have done that. I'm sure you could. If anything happens, in the living room, under the coffee table, there's a panic button. Push the button, and someone will be here.
Okay.
Hope you don't have to use that." And at that point, Cole is kind of tugging him along. He's like, "Come on, we have to get going." They head out into the front yard, and Cole sort of expands into a very stereotypical looking, like, silver UFO, like, saucer kind of shape.
That's awesome.
And Tony climbs in, waves back at the kids, and they just jet up into the atmosphere.
They just have the most beautiful marriage.
I want to abstract a couple of days here, because most of this is just going to be very normal stuff.
Yeah.
So what sort of things are we going to be seeing here over these couple of days? Are there things that Darren is doing with the Dakota children? Are you taking them anywhere? Any kind of activities? What kind of stuff do we see here?
I believe that probably in his instructions, Tony Rex Dakota's instructions, there are certain activities that might be restricted to because he is such a big name hero.
Sure.
And maybe mobilely limited because he is such a big name hero. I think we would I would try to take them out for hikes in the woods and would try to teach them some basic plant words that they butcher to exchange and talk about the accents of different plants. So lots of hiking, maybe some gardening, very outdoorsy public spaces.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think that works. And I think we do get, some... Definitely Ty is the more energetic and outgoing of the two.
Yeah, because 8-year-olds are awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
So he's, running around, like, smelling everything. At one point he brings you a lizard, like, that he just found on a hike. Allie, we see more kind of, like, definitely trying not to look like she's enjoying it, but probably definitely enjoying it.
Yeah.
And a few days in, this is probably like about halfway through the trip, we get a panel of a big, very familiar-looking ship early one morning, hovering over the household.
No, not here. I hate you. I hate you so much.
Okay.
Why the children? Why couldn't it have been somewhere like, I don't know, like Mojave Desert? No. Like, are there young, adorable people? Better do it here.
Better do it here.
Okay.
All right,
I'm back.
So it's early morning. Basically, everyone is still sort of in bed. Everyone is still sort of, out of it. And as Darren is coming down the stairs, probably to, like, make a breakfast or something, you can see out the window that the ship is just hovering over the front yard. What do you do?
Okay, again, I would see them outside hovering over. My first response, I think, would be to turn around and go to their bedrooms.
Okay. I think when you walk into Ty's room, he is already up and, like, bouncing up and down in front of the window. Mm-hmm. He looks back over, he's got this, like, big, giant, like, grin on his face. His eyes are huge. It's like, there's aliens!
I would immediately grab him in my arms and phase him and turn him into glue.
What is your plan? Is it to...
my plan right now is to phase them so they can't be harmed.
Okay.
And turn them into globs. And then quietly sneak downstairs. Because their bedrooms are on the second floor, correct?
Sure, yes.
On the second floor.
Makes sense.
And once I have them glooped, I'm going to go to the coffee table and try and hit the button.
Okay. So, you get Ty, you grab him, you gloop him.
Yes.
And within about 4 seconds, he just reverts. No. Because that was weird.
Damn it!
At that point, you see Allie kind of in his doorway, and she's just leaning up against it, shaking her head a little bit. That's not going to work long term. It's our mom's side of the family.
Yeah!
She looks over out the window. Who are they?
They are unexpected visitors.
Well, Dad just says a visitor's just a friend you haven't met yet.
These are not friendly visitors.
And she kind of, like, makes a little motion with her hand. Oh, they're not.
No, okay, in your culture, you have young seedlings walk around with treats in their backpacks, and they knock on your door and they give you the treats.
Yeah, Halloween, yeah.
Yes, they're the opposite.
They're the opposite of Halloween.
They come, they knock on the door, they're not nice, and they take things.
And at that point, there is a knock on the door. And you can look out the window at this point, and there are 3 figures. 2 of them are very, very tall. One of them is kind of on the shorter side. One of the tall ones has this, like, very bright purple kind of foliage look going on. The other one is very green, and the short, squat one is kind of like a woody sort of looking thing. Mm-hmm. Do you recognize the rest of your group? from back home.
Mm-hmm.
And they, the tall purple one is the one that's knocking, and the other two are kind of like starting to look up at the windows. What do you do?
Okay, so my plan to gloop them did not go as planned. The plan did not go as planned. First, I think I would shift into my actual appearance, because I do have an appearance that's more Earth-like to somewhat blend in. So I would shift to my six-eyed, four-armed self.
And Ty goes, wow, that's cool.
And I become very serious. I am going to touch the floor with one of my forearms and phase the floor out, and so we all fall into the living room.
Okay.
So I can get to the table.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
So, yeah, you phase through into the living room.
Yeah. At
that point, I think the shorter one is kind of like looking in and sees you and like knocks on the glass really hard.
Okay, I hit the panic button. Can I reach the panic button?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm fine with that. So you hit it.
All right, hit the panic button.
All right. So you hit that, and it starts kind of like making this like slow like beep kind of noise. Mm-hmm. You don't know who's coming or when or how long that's going to take, but you hit the panic button.
Lord help me, if it's Buzz, there's going to be some consequences.
You have no idea who it is. So you've hit that button now.
Lord help me if it is...
And now what?
I would use my two arms and pick up the children, and I would try to make a run into the yard to flee.
Okay. I am going to have
I bravely run away.
Okay. I am going to have you... Tell you what. Let's just have you defend someone. Roll plus savior. Because you're trying to keep the kids safe. I think that's close enough.
This is not going to go very well.
Unless it does.
An 11, but my savior's -1, and I'm insecure, so I have -2 to defend someone, so that's an 8.
That's still a 7 to 9. Yeah. You get out to the backyard, and at this point, the big leafy green one that had been, not knocking on the door or looking in the window, has moved around to the back and kind of like holds up a hand at you. Are you well? And you don't know where they picked up English, but at some point they did. Mm-hmm. Sounds kind of concerned.
Yes. Is this a deceit? I'm asking. Is this a deceit? Lying is not in our nature.
I could just answer that, or I could have you pierce their mask, and I think I want you to pierce their mask. Roll plus mundane.
I have 6, but my mundane is 3, so 9.
9? Nice.
Yeah.
So, on a hit, you can ask one of those questions. What are you really planning? What do you want me to do? What do you intend to do? How could I get your character to blank? Or how could I gain influence over you? You get one of those questions.
Oh. Intend.
So, what do they intend to do?
Yes.
Okay. So I think the way we answer that question is, no, we are here to help you. And it kind of like, may I bring the others? This would be much easier as a group.
We will not do harm to the seedlings, correct?
Oh, of course not.
Okay, I would put the children down.
And I think Ty at this point is kind of like just off to the side, looking around, very much interested in this new plant person. Mm-hmm. And it makes a very loud, like, chirping kind of sound. Mm-hmm. The other two come around the side of the house. And the purple one kind of leans forward. We have been looking for you for a very long time.
I have not been in hiding. Can we switch to our language?
I suppose so, if you do not wish the seedlings to understand what is being said. And Allie at this point just kind of looks at you like, what?
I think the exchange of our ideas would be easier for everyone if it was in our native language.
Fair. And at this point, you get kind of panels that are showing faces in profile. Mm-hmm. So it shows them in profile and then you in... When you left, we were cast out. You either become as a group, as a whole, or you are culled as a whole.
You do not have to preach to me. I know what that meant.
You have been granted a chance, and we have decided to assist you with your re-becoming. We landed here I think it's been weeks at this point. We have seen what this place has to offer, and we know how to best help it. We are here to help you. And then the green one says, We are here to help you help them. And then the little one goes, we are here to help you help them become. And then they kind of switch back over to English for a second.
Mm-hmm.
We are here to help them become us. So what does Darren look like in these panels?
I know what the becoming means.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd be confused because their planet's not like ours. They can't become like we become.
Sure. Is that something that you're actually saying out loud, or?
Yes, I would say that out loud. This planet's not the same. They do not have the structure. They do not have the gift to give like we have on our planet.
But they could.
Every planet has the potential to give, but our gift is different. That is our planet's gift.
All we have to do to return is to fix this world. We have spoken with a friend of yours, we believe. Evergreen?
The Evergreen?
Yes. The native meat creatures harm the plant creatures quite a lot, quite excessively. We can help them fight back. We can help them become like us.
What if they don't wish to become like us?
And they just look confused at you for a second. Are you... Do you not want to help them?
That was my mission here. I was sent here to get clemency.
Then it seems that the easiest thing to do is weed the garden.
I think you do not understand the culture of our people like I do.
Perhaps we understand it better. Perhaps that is why you ran. I need you to take a powerful blow.
One condition marked. 6.
Oh.
10.
11.
11!
Okay.
Alrighty then.
That's a hard blow.
Oh.
I think that hits you right in the feelings.
Oh, pumpkin.
So on a 10 plus,
okay.
You either remove yourself from the situation, flee, pass out, etc., lose control of yourself or your powers in a terrible way, or take 2 options off that 7 to 9 list.
Alright.
This is the best time for this to happen.
This is the best time. I don't have a teammate here, so I don't feel like the lash out verbally is very applicable.
I mean, you do have the Dakota kids.
I do have the Dakota kids. Are we considering them teammates?
I think I would for this. Yeah,
I think lose control of myself or your powers in a terrible way.
Oh,
which has worked out so well in the past.
Well.
Yes.
So I guess what it comes down to then is, what would your intent be with this at this point?
I think I would lash out with my powers. Since I am in my full tree plant mushroom form, I think I would increase my density to be extremely heavy. Like I sink down into the soil a bit, and everything like feels heavier around me, and my pheromones are like all the plants are starting to grow up around me, and I try to hit them with one of my branch arms.
Sure. So I think that definitely happens, and I think
lose control.
I think you hit him probably into the house.
Oh, that's such a nice house. Oh, dang it. Okay.
So I think you just like, when they say that, you just smack one of them into a house. Let's say probably the purple one at that point. And the other two kind of like bristle up like they're just shocked, but they're going into like fight mode rather than flight mode. When that happens, Ty and Allie kind of step in front of you, and they change a little bit.
Okay.
So Ty's head elongates backwards, grows 2 horns over his eyes and 1 over his nose. Allie bulks up a little bit, tail, hooked kind of claws, and a very sharp, pointed snout.
Oh, heck yeah.
And they just sort of like position themselves in a defensive position in front of you.
Oh.
And as it looks like this is about to happen and this fight is about to go down, you just hear kind of a soft cough up in the sky, and everyone sort of looks up.
Oh no.
This is the first time you have seen Axiom.
Oh shit! What?
So Axiom is...
I cuss so much in this podcast. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Oh shoot!
Oh no. Axiom is a pretty big name superhero. There are statues to him in town.
He's a generational superhero, so we know that this is the third generation of Axioms. We don't really know who's inside that suit right now.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a little kind of cough. Looks like there's a problem here. Can I help?
Very much.
He lands in the middle of the yard betwixt the two groups here.
Mm-hmm.
Axiom wears a chrome and kind of electric blue, like, power armor sort of suit.
Okay.
It definitely moves. It's very form-fitting. It's not, like, bulky.
Is it not unlike a hero with a film franchise?
No, technically this is a nanotech power suit. It is very legally distinct from any other, metal kind of suit.
Yes.
Yes.
Steel.
Yes.
Mail suit.
Yes. No,
yes.
It is definitely not that.
Okay.
Very legally distinct.
Yes. Okay.
Also not rich, and nobody really knows who this person is right now.
Okay.
So, the other two in your group, at this point kind of like back off a little bit, and the purple one starts to extricate itself from the house.
Mm-hmm.
They see that they are maybe a little bit outnumbered at this point. And the green one kind of like reaches a hand forward. I'm so sorry that we could not come to an accord. And they sort of file back and grow up into the ship, which after a moment starts to take off.
Mm-hmm.
Axiom looks up at it, looks over at you. That seemed like it was a tense situation.
I think I would retract back to a more human-like form. My sixth eye absorbs. My sixth and fifth eye absorb themselves back in, and I'm now bipedal, and I don't know what the word is for bi-armed. Two-armed.
I'm sorry, have we met?
I am Darren, and I open my hand, which still is like vine-like, because everything's still like kind of glooping in, and I'm dripping sap.
He reaches out and he kind of shakes it, and as he does, you can tell there's a very fine force field between glove and sappy hand, so
fair enough.
It doesn't stick.
Yeah.
Yeah. You hit the button. Where's the button?
It's in the living room.
Awesome.
Underneath the caffeinated beverage table.
And he kind of walks through the, collapsed part of the house, reaches under the coffee table and grabs the button, sticks it back on his suit, walks back out. You can let Tony know that we're even now, squaresies, and if he needs anything else, he can ask elsewhere. Axiom, away! And he's just up into the sky.
You butthead. Oh, you posterior head man.
But I think the last couple of panels we get here, though, are you out in the backyard with the Dakota kids.
Mm-hmm.
Triceratops and Allosaurus.
Oh my god, Jeremy.
I've been waiting so long for that.
Jeremy.
And we will see you.
I trusted you.
We will see you
trusted you.
Next issue.
Masks: A New Generation is written for Magpie Games by Brendan Conway. It is made of mushrooms, mayhem, and mimes. Give it your dollars, it is well worth them. The Baroness is played by Christina. Piero is played by Lenny. You can find her on Instagram at catfood. William Infernus is played by Jordan. Darren is played by Nan. Find her on Instagram at Nanjitsu. Apex City is GM'd by Jeremy, who also writes the music and edits this podcast. Our album art was provided by Ash Brandt. Find them on Twitter at CinderBrandt or Instagram at Brandt.ash and on Tumblr at Kimmins. Find us on Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, or whatever fine podcasts are sold. Follow us on Twitter at Apex City Cast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next issue.